This is Apple's latest store in downtown LA. And this is also the historic Tower Theater. This is the first movie theater in Los Angeles that was wired for talking movies way back in the 1920s, almost 100 years ago. The very first talking movie was The Jazz Singer with Al Jolson, and it previewed here before it was released to the general public. So this is quite a historic building. Apple has spent the last several years working with historic preservationists to bring the theater back to its original glory and update it as an Apple store. So I'm pretty excited to go in and see what they've done. We're going to look at the outside of the building later, but first, look at how gorgeous this lobby is. Now remember that in the 1920s, movie theaters were still relatively new, and they weren't like theater or opera tickets where the price depends on where you sit, meaning that they were mostly accessible to the well-off. In a movie, everyone pays the same price, making it accessible to everyone, not class-dependent. When you walk into this movie theater, when you take that first step in the theater, the architect wanted you to feel like you were stepping into a different world. He wanted you to forget the everyday that was outside and prepare you for the fantasy that you were going to experience on the movie screen. From the balcony, look at this incredible stained glass window, which is the original. I want you to notice a couple of things. The first are the red apples, which I think are pretty cool since it is now the Apple Store, and it's quite coincidental. The second thing is what appears to be a blue banner at the top that is really a film strip. How cool and creative is that? This gorgeous chandelier is also original to the movie theater. All right, let's head to the main floor. Honestly, I was speechless. Look at some of these ceiling details from the original movie theater. These windows are a contemporary touch. They open completely to the outside, but they don't feel out of place. And this proscenium, oh my gosh, it is gorgeous. It leads up to this sky ceiling that my camera is having trouble with. There's a smaller sky ceiling in the back, the balcony, and then the back of the store. We're going to head downstairs next. Downstairs, Apple has created a small museum that shows before and after photos of the restoration and talks a little bit about the actual restoration techniques. Here is the cartouche from the proscenium before restoration, and this is how it looks now. These are the bronze railings that you saw on the staircase in the lobby. The top railing is before restoration, this is during restoration, and this is after restoration. And here's that detail again on the lobby stairs. Okay, look at how they have repurposed the balcony. They have these very comfy seats where you can wait for your Genius Bar appointment. Notice the openings in the back wall. That's where the projectors used to be. You can just hang out. These seats are really comfortable. Honestly, I didn't want to leave. Here's another view from one of the Juliet balconies. And if you are sitting in one of these very comfy seats, this is your view. If you head up to the top floor, you're at the Genius Bar.
You take a very high-res photo on your phone nowadays?
Isn't this gorgeous. Okay, let's talk about the sky ceiling called the atmospheric dome. Here's a photo of the original. It's got cherubs and musicians and warriors and who knows what else. But over the years, it was painted over multiple times, so it was impossible to restore. I really like the choice of a sky instead. Here's a smaller atmospheric dome above the Genius Bar. Let's look at the artwork over the proscenium. Like the atmospheric dome, the original artwork was painted over, so new art was commissioned. The top rondelle is the muse Calliope teaching poetry to her son Orpheus. There are two smaller rondelles over each of the Juliet balconies. One is of an armillary sphere, which was the dominant astronomical instrument to determine the position of the planets and stars before the invention of the telescope. Over the other is a lyre, which is a musical instrument. These three rondelles symbolize the intersection of technology and the liberal arts, which is part of what Apple does really, really well. Let's go outside. The theater was designed in 1927 by renowned motion picture theater architect S. Charles Lee. But when he designed it, he wasn't a renowned architect. This was his first movie theater architecture job. But it was so successful, it was featured in the July 1928 issue of Architect and Engineer magazine. Here are some of the images from that article, and a link to the full article is in the description below. It's fascinating. Here's the side of the building. Take a look at those painted panels at the top. Those were commissioned for this Apple store, and they were created on iPads. The frames around them were designed so that the panels could change, and the original purpose was so that the theater could sell advertising on the building. Here's an original photo of the building shortly after it opened. You can see that the frames are empty, but not anymore. I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention the historic clock tower. But the thing is, you can see it. I don't have to say, look, there's a clock in the tower. And I have something much more interesting to show you. A few months ago, I did a video on vintage street lamps in Los Angeles for Monica and Urban Light. Urban Light is one of the most Instagrammed places in LA. This lamp is called the Broadway Rose, and it was the artist Chris Burden's favorite lamp of them all. I have to agree, it's absolutely gorgeous. I wondered why they called it the Broadway Rose, but I wasn't able to find out that info until now. The Apple Store is on Broadway, and look what lights Broadway at night. The Broadway Rose. The ones on Broadway haven't been steamed and artistically painted. They are actual, still working street lamps. This one is dated 1919. I think it's important because it really shows the history of this part of downtown, and it makes the revitalization of the old Tower Theater that much sweeter. Most people are going to walk past these street lamps and not even give them a second thought, like I did right here. You, however, will be able to appreciate them a little more when you come to see the store. If you like this video, then check out the historic Gilmore gas station that's now a Starbucks, or the vintage street lamps of LA, or watch them both. I hope this helps you find your adventure. Thank you for watching.